Hi, I'm Steve Fulgoni, and today we're here again in my shop to talk about the Spindle Rough and Gouge. Spindle Rough and Gouge is one of the oldest tools used by woodturners, still used today, typically made out of forged steel, forged meaning it is shaped from a piece of flat stock. Before we sharpen it, let's take a look at what the differences are between a spindle rough and gouge and a bowl gouge. So here's a look at the profile of the spindle rough and gouge. Here's a typical bowl gouge. Bowl gouge is machined out of round bar stock. The bowl gouge typically has a deep flute. And here's a spindle gouge. Modern spindle gouge is also machined out of round bar stock, but having a shallower flute. Now, what do we use the spindle rough and gouge for? Sometimes this gouge is called a rough and gouge, but really these days it's more appropriate to call it a spindle rough and gouge. This gouge should have no place whatsoever, anywhere, never should be near a bowl. This gouge is used generally for knocking off corners on spindles. You can also use it in a planing cut, rubbing the bevel for good quality finish. Again, on spindle type work, never use this gouge for face plates. Why? A lot of torque involved, and also right here is a weak spot. Right here, this tang, right in here is a weak spot, which could break and injure you severely. Let's look at some of the profiles. I have 4 spindle rough and gouges here in front of me, from 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, and 2 inches. I find I use most often the 1 inch, the 1 inch, and the 2 inch tool. The profile of this, in my opinion, should be square in cross section. So if you're looking at it this way, straight across. Very easy to sharpen that way, and also, in my opinion, most appropriate to use. I just opened up this package. I just opened up a package of a new spindle rough and gouge, and I see that this manufacturer sharpens it with a slightly swept back wing. To me, I wouldn't use it that way, and anything that has a swept back requires you to articulate when you sharpen, which just makes this tool difficult to sharpen. So what we're going to look at today is how to sharpen the spindle rough and gouge in a square cross section. Okay? Most of the time when this tool is used, we're knocking off corners and we're not rubbing the bevel. However, there are times where we would. So we want to pay attention to this angle right here. We can use an angle gauge, similar to this, and we can measure the angle on this tool. "40 degrees. So therefore, that gives us a pretty sharp angle, kind of approaching a skew in sharpness. Maybe not as sharp as a skew, but approaching the sharpness of a skew, which will give us very good angle for rubbing the bevel in spindle work. Okay, let's take a look at how we sharpen this. Put on my safety glasses, and you've seen this set up before. This is my bow door grinder with CBN wheels. On the left side, I have an 80 grit wheel. On the right side, I have 180. And first thing that we're going to do is we are going to, because we sharpen this often, we don't have to take a lot of material off here. and we're already set to the angle that we want. We're going to use the sliding arm of the one-way jig to hold this steady, keeping our angle constant. So I'm going to get it started there. I'm going to look sideways to match up that angle, lock down, and as you've seen me do before, I'll just use a little bit of marker on the tool just to help me see when material has been removed. Okay? Bottom of the tool in the socket, turn on the grinder. Apply just a little downward pressure and rotate the tool left to right. Now it's hard to get this angle exact, so you can see after the first pass, taking off just a little bit, I'll keep going. Trying to apply even force around the tool. You can see I haven't gotten the bottom of the heel of the angle here, but that's okay. That's really all there is to it. This gouge is ready to use. That's how to sharpen a spindle roughing gouge. Thanks for watching.